All right, everybody, get ready to pay attention. You ready to pay attention? Are you looking at the boxes? Okay, good. Because here's the deal. I'm going to go over some updates with the Chaos Theory Camaro. But first, we've got some boxes to open here with some cool stuff in here. So we'll just start with the smallest first. I already know what all this stuff is, guys, but got some shout outs to give amongst this. Alright, so our first box, what we have here, this is actually from Dakota Digital. Now you guys know I usually use stock PCMs, so I'm usually able to calibrate the speedometer and the tachometer in the vehicles that I swap with the stock PCM. We're using a Holly, so I don't have that convenience. So first up, we have a pretty cool product from Dakota Digital. This is the SGI 100BT. The BT stands for Bluetooth. Now this guy is $100. I'll put a link in the description. And unlike the other converters from Dakota Digital that either correct your Speedo or correct your Tach, this actually does both, and it's also Bluetooth linkable to your cell phone, so you can put in all your corrections with the app instead of instead of having to fiddle around with these buttons here or whatever. You can still use the buttons if you want, but it's easier to just use the app. So basically all that happens is you've got your input from your speed sensor, goes in here, and then you can output it to 5 different sources, and then use the app to correct your speedometer. And then same thing with your Tach. You can input your Tach signal here and output your Tach signal to your factory tachometer or whatever tachometer, and adjust the accuracy of it. So that's pretty cool. We'll be wiring that up soon. Now, moving along to this box. This box is going to get a shout out. So here's the deal, guys. My first shout out is to you guys, because if it wasn't for you guys, this box would not have ever happened. So here's the deal. You guys remember a few months ago when I made the video on the budget LS swap oil pan line, and I told you guys, I was like, please, just share this video. Let's see how far this video can go. And a lot of you guys did that. The video got real good views. But what's better is the company I got that pan from, which was Poor Man Motorsports. You guys blew up their sales, and it wasn't me. It was you guys sharing my video that did that. So out of appreciation, Scott at poormanmotorsports.com actually reached out to me, and he said, hey, sales are doing great on the oil pans. The video really helped. And to show his appreciation, he wanted to send me another one of those oil pans. Well, I started talking with him, and I was like, well, until I throw rods through the oil pan that I paid for from you, which, let's be honest, guys, that might not be too far-fetched of a thing to happen. I said, I don't really need another oil pan. But what I do need is an oil or a water pump. For the accessory drive I'm planning to run, I needed a Camaro / Corvette style water pump, and he said done. So because you guys shared that video and blew it up like you did, it helped with his sales, and to show his appreciation, he sent me this water pump. Oh, here we go, guys. This water pump is also made by TSP, the same company that made those oil pans that I reviewed. I did not know it was going to come with a thermostat and thermostat housing already, but we're actually not going to use that. I'll go over that in a second. But there it is, our brand new Corvette Camaro style water pump. And like I said, I owe this all to you guys. It's because of you guys sharing the video. I don't know if you realize what an impact just sharing one of my videos has, but I told you guys a while back, I was like, look, you know, at the time I was doing reviews for some products that, you know, I really didn't want to review. And a lot of them you never saw the reviews because the products were so crappy that the companies that sent them to me didn't want me to air the videos. So, but I told you, I was like, if you stick around, you know, help me out, you know, maybe we'll start getting some sponsorships or something like that from, you know, from some companies that make stuff that we actually want. Now, this is not a sponsorship, guys. He did send me this water pump, but he also told me, you know, if I need help with anything in the future, to let him know. So, you know, maybe he'll give me a discount on stuff here and there or whatever. But either way, again, thanks to all you guys for making this happen. I realize it's just a water pump, but you just got to know, guys, what this signifies to me. So thanks to all you guys for sharing my video, helping me out, and thank you, Scott from Poor Man Motorsports, for hooking me up with the water pump. And hopefully your sales continue getting better, man. So guys, if you want to check out Poor Man Motorsports, like I said, this is not a sponsored video, but he did hook me up with this water pump. And he sells a lot of cool stuff, guys, in all price ranges. He's got stuff from TSP like this, which is, you know, budget line, just like those oil pans. He's also got stuff from Big N, which is a budget line, torque converters, and fittings, all kinds of stuff. And he also has, you know, bigger name brand stuff like Holley and everything. So it's one more time, it's poormanmotorsports.com. Check it out, guys. I'll put a link in the video description to his website. Now, the reason I said I wouldn't be using this thermostat and thermostat housing is because if you guys remember from a mail time a long time ago, like probably over a year ago, Zane Hobbs, my buddy out in Oklahoma, he actually sent me a 160-degree thermostat and housing that was for a Corvette / Camaro. So that's what we're probably going to be putting in here before we put this on. Now for the fun part. I have had a lot of you guys ask me what I was going to do about exhaust on this car. Now, because we're starting off NA and nitrous, and we're going to turbo later on, I did not want to spend a bunch of money, obviously, to buy a, here, cut you, to buy a set of headers. I'd originally thought about just getting a set of long tube headers from Speed Engineering, which is who I always get my LS swap headers from, and putting those on and just running it open header or dumps for now. And then down the road, when we do the turbo kit, you know, just go in another direction. But I did not want to spend, well, it wasn't that I didn't want to spend, I did not have, you know, almost $300 to spend on a set of headers that was most likely going to get thrown out in a couple months, or, well, maybe a year at the most. So I have decided to do something some of you might find kind of crazy, but keep in mind, this is not a street car. So if you think about it that way, this really isn't that crazy at all. So here's what we're doing, guys. I got a set of up and forward cheap ass eBay headers. There you go. Cheapest shit on eBay. You know, these are like 90 bucks or something like that. So I got a set of these, already knowing that, you know, from what I've read in the reviews, these things have issues. I'm probably going to have to bore out some of the holes to fit the bolts properly and things like that. But so here's my plan. My plan for the time being is to run these headers NA on here. I can already see these things are real pieces of shit, guys. Like, this flange is actually crooked. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, these are probably gonna go back. I see already this flange is welded on totally crooked. But that aside, my plan is to send these back, get them to send me a set that's not all fucked up, and then my plan is I'm gonna come off these headers, and you can see I've already been cutting these panels out in the front. Haven't got that one off yet, but for the time being, we're just gonna come off this with an elbow. We're gonna go straight down and pop a pipe out right in front of the front wheel under the fender on both sides. That's gonna be our NA/nitrous setup. Later on, I've pretty much at this point, I've decided we are gonna do a twin turbo setup. I'm not gonna do a big single. And most likely what's going to happen is I'm going to chop these headers off back here somewhere, re-weld the V-band flanges on just to give me a little more room. And then we're going to probably either run an elbow off of this and sink the turbos down here behind each headlight kinda. Or what I may do is just get really fucking stupid and turn the elbows up and just fuck it. Let the turbos right up here in the front, right out of the hood. If I even put a hood on it, we'll just cut a hole in each side of the hood and let the turbos hang up there where they can get plenty of air. Now over here on this side, we're gonna have a little bit of issue with the brake lines. I'm gonna have to rebend some brake lines. To be honest, guys, I've actually thought about switching to manual brakes and just getting rid of this brake booster, and that would allow me to put my master cylinder right back directly on the firewall, redo my brake lines, and give me a whole lot more room up here for spark plug changes, things like that. And as far as spark plugs go, I'm not sure if I'm going to leave my coils on the valve covers. With this type of setup, it's usually easier to just mount the coils down here next to the frame rail and just run the spark plug wire straight over. I could do that on both sides. Once I bend those brake lines out of the way, I'd have room. But as far as the exhaust system goes and the turbo setup goes, yeah, what do you guys want to see? I mean, I know I said in the beginning this build was for me, but you know, I'll take some input here. You think I should try to tuck the turbos in or just hang them out of the hood? I mean, it's not a street car, guys. I kind of like to just hang them out of the hood where they can get plenty of air, where heat's not an issue. And I don't know, I just think it'd look kind of mean too, because the turbos, yeah, probably just about the whole turbo would be visible out of the hood there. So I think they'd look pretty cool, and it'd be functional too, you know. But yeah, as far as this flange, you can see this thing is welded on very, very crooked. And oh, it's actually pretty crooked on this side too. They're both fucked up. So I don't know, guys. My options here are to contact the seller and see if they'll exchange or send me another set, or, you know, if they won't, it's no great loss, guys. If they won't send me another set, then before I do anything else, I'll just go ahead and take these to my cousin and have him cut these off and go ahead and move them back. That would actually probably make things a little easier with running the pipes down through the fenders, because they wouldn't be so close. The radiator is going to be right here. So yeah, I might do that. I might contact the seller, and if he tells me to get fucked, then I'll just have my cousin move the V-bands back right here to where the merge actually ends. That'll give me, what, 3 more inches of space here, putting them back there. But anyway, that's my plans for the exhaust. That's my plans for the speedometer and the tachometer I just talked to you about. And yes, with these headers, the bolt holes are not lining up. I already knew that was going to be an issue. I've already seen online. I'm going to have to drill those holes out. I'm going to get in contact with this seller first, but chances are, if both these headers were fucked up with the flanges welded crooked, probably any header he sends me is going to have crooked ass flanges too. So probably better off just going ahead and planning on having my cousin straighten these out for me. Moving on to the next item of business. In the last video, I went to try to test our shipbox supply fuel lines that we made over here, and I could not get the fuel pump to kick on when I tried to jump it. Now, I have since gotten the fuel pump to kick on, and I would like to report the fuel line is not leaking. Okay, so we got no leakage from the shipbox supply. Fuel lines that I put together, I mean, they're great. We got no leakage down here, no nothing. I did pressurize that line. So why could I not get the fuel pump to kick on in the last video? Well, basically it boils down to me being a complete fucking idiot. So what happened was I was out here, I had the key forward, and I have an ignition hot here, and I was trying to jump my fuel pump wire here. Well, I could not understand why when I was hitting it with 12 volts the fuel pump was not kicking on. I didn't get it, and this is kind of a funny story. I was pissed off. Obviously, I ended the video pretty abruptly, and I was just getting aggravated, guys, because I also could not get any power to my starter wire. So I kind of gave up for the night. I went to bed. I got up the next morning. I was in the shower, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I did not have the shifter hooked up. At that time, I had the B&M Mega Shifter sitting in here, and so basically what was happening is the park neutral safety switch, all that bullshit was not hooked up. So that's why I didn't have any power to the starter wire. Well, initially that's what I thought, and somehow all that is connected to the fuel pump circuit too, because when I came in here, I moved the Mega Shifter out of the way, I set the stock shifter back in here, plugged it up, put it in drive, and guess what? Went out there, turned the key forward, touched the fuel pump wire with my 12 volt ignition wire out there, and the fuel pump lit up, pressurized the line, everything's good, right? Wrong. Because even though I had power to the fuel pump now, I still was not getting any power to my starter wire. So I thought about that for a few minutes, and it hit me like a ton of bricks too. You know, these vehicles have a VAT system on it. It's a really primitive VAT system compared to what you see on the LS PCMs, you know, the P01s, the P59 PCMs. Basically, there's a start relay. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, guys, but basically here's what happens. There's a start relay, okay? Your ignition power, when you go to crank the car, you've got a wire that goes from your ignition switch, and instead of just going straight over to the park neutral switch in the shifter and then going out to the starter, it goes down to what's called a starter relay. This starter relay has a input and an output that goes to the factory ECU. It sends a signal to the ECU saying, hey, you want us to start this car? The ECU reads a chip on the key, blah, blah, blah. It sends power back, says, yes, start the car. It activates the starter relay. The starter relay then bridges the gap between that ignition wire and another fat ignition wire and sends that to the park neutral switch on the shifter. If everything's good there, it sends it out to the purple wire to the starter, and the car cranks. Now, the next bit of information I'm about to show you, I just want to say ahead of time, if you choose to use this for some kind of ulterior motive, I am not responsible. I in no way am showing you how to do this so you can steal a car or do whatever. I just want to get that out there because some of y'all, you kind of sketchy. So on these later model 3rd gen Camaros, if you come right under here to the kick panel, you will find this guy. This is the starter relay. If you bypass this starter relay, you do not have to have a chip in your key to start the car any longer. Well, you might with the factory ECU, but that's not what we're talking about here. So anyway, what I did is I went in here. It's actually really simple to bypass the starter relay. You just unplug it. You find the two fat wires. This yellow wire here is coming in from the ignition switch up there. This brown wire with the white stripe is going out to my neutral safety switch over there on the starter. So all I did was jump those two wires together, thereby bypassing this whole relay. And that's where my next problem, and the problem that I am currently hung up on, starts. this worked exactly like I thought it would. Once I did that with the key in the crank position, I was getting power to my neutral safety switch and back out through this fat purple wire to the starter. I was then getting 12 volts at the starter wire, but here's the problem. Even when I don't have the key to the crank position, I'm still getting 7 volts at the starter wire. I don't think it's supposed to be that way. I'm pretty sure that would be enough voltage to keep the starter engaged. I'm not sure, guys. I mean, tell me what you think on that. I'm not sure what could possibly be causing that, unless something's going on with the starter, or I mean the ignition switch, something like that. But I don't think I had this issue when I still had the V6 in it, so I'm kind of stumped at this point. And to be honest, like I'm Googling it, and I found several people on thirdgen.org that have asked about this same problem, and no one's given them a straight answer. And most of those were from back in like 2008, 2010. Nobody ever answered the question, and they never reported back as to how or if they figured it out. But I'm going to give this all of about one more day, and if I don't get this figured out, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to say fuck it, and I'm going to put a push button in here to start this fucker. Because it's a race car anyway, I really don't care. And I've got this blank panel right here where I think a defroster, rear defrost switch would be if I had one. So it's not going to hurt my feelings to put a big bright red starter button there. So basically what would happen is I would still have to turn the key to the run position. So it's not like somebody could just come in here and start the car and take off with it. The key would still have to be in, turn to the run position, and then you just hit the starter button and start it. That's kind of where I'm at right now, guys. Unless I can come up with a real simple fix for this, I'm not sure what's causing it, because I really haven't messed with any wiring up in the dash or anything. But if I don't figure this out, we'll just put us a starter button right here. Like I said, race car, no big deal. All right, so I said I was going to give some shout outs in this video. I've already given a few. The next shout out is actually to Shad Moxie, and I'm not sure if that's his real name, but that's his email address. So Shad, if you're watching this video and that's not your real name, feel free to come in here and correct me. But the reason he's getting a shout out is because in the video I did where I showed the mega shifter, it's currently in the back, I had bought a used mega shifter for a hell of a deal. The problem was it did not have the brackets to mount it in here, and I wanted to make sure it got mounted in just the right spot. Well, Shad saw the video, he commented in the comments and said he had the same shifter and offered to draw diagrams, you know, very good diagrams I might add, of the brackets that I needed. So he did that. He shot me an email with those diagrams. That's been a couple months ago. I took those diagrams to Uncle Ray yesterday. Ray took them to work, and he has made me brackets. So I don't have the brackets at this point. I'll probably be putting the shifter in later this week and going ahead and doing the wiring for the reverse lights, you know, bypassing this switch, you know, using the park neutral switch on the mega shifter, all that stuff. But I want to give a huge shout out to Shad for hooking me up. So here's the deal with that, guys. If you didn't watch that particular video, what happened was I'd contacted Holly, who owns B&M now, and they could not get me those brackets. They said there was no part number. Apparently they're packaged at the manufacturer. They had no way to get me the brackets. I even called a buddy I had who has a hookup at Holly, and he tried too, and that guy couldn't help me either. So at that point, Shad sent me the brackets, and like I said, Uncle Ray has them made. I just have to get over to his house to pick them up, bring them over here, drill some holes in them, and we'll be putting our mega shifter in. So over the rest of this week, my goal for the rest of this week is to get all this wiring finalized, go ahead and get my heater box mounted in here. I don't know if I'm ever going to finish the video on that, guys. I'm pretty displeased with that heater box. I may just throw it in here and delete the video footage I have thus far and just say screw it, because honestly it's not going to be a very helpful video to anybody. Let me know in the comments if you want to see it. I guess if enough of you actually want to see that video, I mean, it might help some of you guys. I'll finish it and put it up, but otherwise I'm just going to delete it and get it done. I want to get all this wiring finalized, get it all, you know, finish looming it all up. I need to pull my modified C100 harness back out. You guys have already seen it on Instagram and Facebook. You know, well, I did a video on it kind of showing you kind of how I made the harness, but I cleaned it up a lot since then and put pictures on Facebook and Instagram. So a lot of you guys have already seen it. If you haven't, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll shoot a little bit of video footage of it before I put it back in the car. But I pretty much have everything ran where it needs to go. I just have to shorten a few wires, crimp a few terminals on, and then tape the whole thing up and finish looming it so I don't just have wires sticking everywhere. So that's the goal. Hopefully, you know, by the end of this week, all this wiring will be done. Heater box will be in. We'll figure out something with these janky ass headers that I probably shouldn't have even fucking bought. I'm regretting it now already. We'll get our new water pump on and kind of figure out what we're going to do accessory wise. The only accessory I plan to run is an alternator. I'm thinking maybe a low mount bracket from LSX Innovations over there. And then if I get all this wiring finalized, you know, we can go ahead, like right now, the intake is just sitting on here, but we can go ahead and put our gaskets on, get our Holly harness all plugged back up now that we know where everything's going, get it all hooked up. I mean, we're kind of on the home stretch here, guys. I've just got to get more time and motivation to get out here and finish up, but we are definitely on the home stretch. I mean, with the headers, like I said, I am going to have to do something with these brake lines to make these work. I'm also going to have to bore out the holes on the headers, you know, to make them line up. I wish, no, I don't have another set of heads. I wish I had, well, I don't need another set of heads. I could just use the gaskets to bore the holes out and, you know, try to get them to line up better. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much it. That was probably a kind of boring update, but I wanted to let you guys know what's going on. Also, my buddy Zane, I think he is sending us a ported throttle body. He asked me if I wanted one. Of course, I said yes. Who the fuck's going to say no? But other than the items I just mentioned, I mean, we're pretty much good to go at this point. Everything's mounted. Just wanted to give you a little update, let you know what's going on, show you the new parts we got in. And the next video you see from me will probably be, you know, the wiring finished up. I may shoot a little bit of footage while I'm doing it. Generally, when I do wiring, I don't film a lot. I like to just kind of dig in, get it done. It's easier that way, you know, stay focused. But there will most likely be some footage of the shifter install. If I don't figure out this voltage issue with the starter wire, you know, I'll probably do some footage installing the push button start. Yeah, and guys, if you have any idea what might be going on with the whole starter wire thing, you know, with the key in the run position, again, this is what's happening. With the key in the run position, I've got 7 volts at the starter wire. With the key cranking, I've got 12 volts like I should have, but I don't think I'm supposed to have 7 volts at the starter wire with the key in the run position. So something's definitely screwy under there. If you guys have any idea what that might be, hit me up in the comments, let me know. For the next day or two, I'm going to be testing and checking it out. So if you let me know something, a suggestion by then, I'll go ahead and check it out. If not, I'm just going to skip straight to the push button. So if you're throwing suggestions down there, you know, more than 2 days after this video airs, then I'm probably not going to do it. Probably already got the button in at that point. That's the current state of things. Like I said, letting you guys know what's going on. Make sure you check out Poor Man Motorsports on eBay or on poormanmotorsports.com. I will put a link to his website in the description of this video so you guys can check it out. Like I said, he's got lots of budget stuff, but also lots of big name parts as well. And once again, to all you guys who share my videos, thank you very much. That makes stuff like this happen, guys. You know, when you share my videos and word gets out and it helps a company or a manufacturer, I mean, that's when they step up and they come in and you know, they do stuff like this for me to help me out, because I help them out because you guys help me out. So that's why, or that's just the way it works, guys. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for the videos you've already shared, for any videos you may share in the future. Thanks for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. If not, yeah, give it a thumbs down, do whatever. Subscribe if you're not subscribed and you want to see more. Now get off YouTube, get out in the garage, get something done, and I'll see you next time here on Bad Luck Garage.